What's going on, Lakers fans, and welcome in to the return of the LakeShow Flow. I am your host, Gio. Now, this technically is episode 27, but I can't sit here and pretend that myself and my co host, Joe, didn't take about 3 to 4 years off. It's been a long time, but just for, milestone purposes, I will keep it, as episode 27 and going forward as I upload. And as we upload, it'll be kept track of just for those purposes. Now, before we get into the content, there's so much to talk about in Lakers news, and I'm excited about this one. But before we get into that, I just want to give a shout out to my co-host Joe, who is now in the Navy serving. My country. I'm not sure, where everyone's from that listens to this, but most people are probably from the United States. So he's in the United States Navy now, constantly on these long deployments, stuck on the boat. So whenever he does hear this, I just want him to know that we are thinking of him, and I can't wait for him to get back on this microphone with me and get back to covering the Lakers, because that is the plan. And for now, I'll be uploading more as a, solo, but at the same time, I can't wait. Especially, I wish he was here for this one, because this one is pretty damn exciting. But shout out to Joe, and we can't wait to get you back on here, bro. Now, let's get into this. So, as you see by the title, as you see by the thumbnail, it's no secret, everybody, unless you've been living under a rock and you're a Laker fan or even an NBA fan, this trade shook the NBA world, the Twitter world, everything to its core. Like, it was insane. Now, a lot of people have called this like a tectonic plate shifting move. It's huge. So, like I said, in case you've been living under a rock, the Los Angeles Lakers, our Los Angeles Lakers, they acquired Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks, and as well as Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris, former champ with the Lakers. Shout out to him. But the main pieces here, we gave up Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and our 2029 first round pick, unprotected, as well. And then the Jazz got involved, and so we gave them Jalen Hood Schifino. They also acquired the 2025 Clippers second and the 2025 Mavericks second. And we sent out, oh, I already talked about that. We sent out Anthony Davis, Max Christie. So, insane. Probably the most insane trade that I've ever witnessed as a Laker fan. And I was around for, when the Lakers acquired Pau Gasol. But at that time, when you acquire Pau Gasol, like, people knew that he was obviously a borderline, like, all-star caliber player when he was on the Grizzlies, but he was not the caliber of superstar as Luka Doncic. Like, the gravity of that move is insane. And I got to give a shout out to Rob Pelinka on this one, because this is a trade that I am pretty sure nobody in their right minds as a Laker fan, as a Maverick fan, as, like I said, an NBA fan, was ever thinking. In a delusional sense, I'm pretty sure a lot of Laker fans have said, hey, Luka's a future Laker. We're going to get him in free agency one day. It's going to be kick ass. Like, but we talk about that a lot. Like, as Laker fans, we're always imagining like these young stars eventually playing for us. And I mean, don't get me wrong. We've been right a lot of the time, or we've actually seen some craziness. So we're justified in our quote unquote delusion to some fan bases. So acquiring Luka Doncic he's only 25 years old. So how does this affect the immediate future? Now, if you've been watching the Lakers this year, I mean, they've been a borderline top 3 seed in the West. Right now, they're the 5th seed, right? And so you've been watching, they've been lacking. AD himself called out and said, hey, I would like to play more power forward. We need a big man. And most Laker fans, that's all we're thinking about is let's get a big, possibly some more playmaking somewhere, on the court. We can get like a bench player or something. But none of us would have thought that Rob Pelinka's response to AD saying, hey, I want a big to play alongside me. Nobody would have thought that he's like, hey, AD, we know you want to play alongside a big, so how about Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford? And you know what I mean? So we'll go ahead and send you to the Mavericks. Like, nobody's thinking that, right? But it happened. And there's been a lot of damage control that's been happening with the Mavericks. I feel like all these little sprinkled in reports about how they were concerned about Luka being their franchise face because of like conditioning issues and all that stuff. It's like, I don't care. Like if I'm a Laker, this is a trade you cannot say no to. If I'm in that Lakers front office, as soon as it's even thought of, you just can't say no to it. Apparently, this was brought to the attention of Lakers brass in January. So this has been something that was quietly behind the scenes in the shadows. It was something that was in the works, and it's obviously picked up steam literally last night after the Lakers go out and get a crazy win against the Knicks in New York and look like, okay, we're still just missing a few more pieces, but this team's looking great, right? And even one of the guys we traded, Max Christie, one of my favorite young Lakers, he's a part of this trade and he shined in that game. So it was very just random and out of the blue, and I couldn't believe it. When I first see Shams make that tweet, when I first see him, put the just the details, the little notes, right? It just doesn't feel real. I thought it was like one of those fake accounts where like they'll have one letter that's not the right one, and then you're, oh shit, okay, I fell for it. I click on his Twitter, on that account that posted it, and it's literally his account with 2.5 million followers. And so I'm like, okay, this has to be like he's hacked. Like there's no way. He follows that up saying, yes, this is real, and breaks down the entire details. I'm still like, I'm waking up my brother from his nap, and shout out to my brother Diego. He's always asleep during the craziest events that shake the internet. Like when Kendrick and Drake were both dropping diss tracks back and forth, he was literally like asleep, taking a nap whenever those diss tracks would drop, and I'd have to wake him up, and he's half asleep listening, like bobbing his head with his eyes closed, like damn. So shout out to Diego, but he was asleep during the biggest trade. Like I don't know. We'll get into the size, how big of a trade this is in context of like every trade that's ever happened. It's probably the biggest ever, but we'll get into that. So yeah, so this kid was asleep. I wake him up and I'm trying to like, I tell him and he's like, what? Like he can't even believe it. And it's just one of those moments that I'll never forget, as a fan, because when we traded for Pau Gasol back in the day, it's like, it's a big deal, but he's just not the he's just not he's in a different tier than Luka Doncic. And even like other trades like Dwight Howard, like Steve Nash, when we got him, like those were big, but Steve Nash was out of his prime. Dwight Howard was kind of expected. Now when we traded for AD, that was a big one too, but it was still a move that was in the works. It was something that we could see coming. We're getting a guy that is 25 years old, and it sucks. I just want to give a shout out to Anthony Davis. He was my favorite Laker that we had on the team right now. I mean, obviously it's easy to say LeBron, but I knew what I was getting with LeBron. But I feel like AD had these levels that he was still reaching, and I got to see him grow as a Laker more than I saw LeBron grow as a Laker, because he was already, he's kind of on the decline, and AD is on the recline. You know what I mean? And so shout out to AD, man. He was a hell of a player, generational talent in his own right. But as we welcome in Luka Doncic to the purple and gold, this is a different level to this entire, like he's just a different tier player. This guy can just lead your franchise into the future. He's going to be a Laker for like 10 plus years, and he's literally just hitting his prime. He's 25 years old. He's already a megastar. Like it's just insane that we could even say that the Lakers acquired this guy. But in the immediate future for this team, obviously it helps the Mavericks compete right now. I think, I still don't agree with them even, I'm happy about it as a Laker fan, but I don't think they needed to trade their franchise player away to compete this year. Um, but they did. And so it helps them right now. They have Anthony Davis, they have Kyrie Irving, they got Daniel Gafford, they got PJ Washington, Klay Thompson's over there. Obviously an aged, a seasoned Klay Thompson, but I mean a Klay Thompson nonetheless, right? So they get help right now on both sides of the ball. For the Lakers, it's just something that when it's put on the table, like the way I've been seeing it is like you can't say no. It's something that probably just really caught Rob Pelinka off guard. You don't want to ruffle any feathers if this is thrown to you, even since January. You want to just say, you know what? If they're willing to do this, yes, I could say, well, would you take LeBron instead? Like, will you guys take the aging superstar and pair him with Kyrie instead? But like, if they want AD for Luka, You kind of just do it. It doesn't do anything for the Lakers right now, like in terms of filling the voids that we had. But what it does do is it secures the future of this franchise, like I said, for the next 10, 15 years. And all the concerns that the Mavs are kind of being petty and putting out about Luka, weighing a certain amount, conditioning issues and whatnot, all that stuff is going to be addressed as long as LeBron James is willing to lead him as the next face of this Laker team, as well as possibly, he's still young. He can still be proclaimed as like the face, one of the faces of the league. It's going to be him. It's going to be Anthony Edwards, Shea out in OKC, and also Wemby. Those are like the next in line to be the faces, right? So LeBron can really influence Luka in the right ways. The conditioning thing, not concerned about it because LeBron can help him with that. Now, I would have been concerned if we were to trade LeBron after this move. And according to Chris Haynes, he reported that LeBron plans on staying with the Lakers, beyond the trade deadline. So he's not asking for a trade. He's not freaking out. Him and AD were close. But the thing about this trade, there's been a lot of damage control on both sides. And I think the Lakers, LeBron's people put out this report that he apparently didn't know. He was at dinner when it happened. But then there was another report saying that LeBron and his team, Rich Paul and them, they're all part of Clutch, including AD, that they had been contacted about 48 hours before, So believe what you want, take it with a grain of salt. But I'm pretty sure LeBron had an idea that this could possibly materialize in, 48 hours ago when it was discussed. But yeah, so he wants to say that he didn't know. But the thing is, I think if he didn't know, he probably would have demanded a trade right away. He would have been like, get me the hell out of here. So I think all the concerns about Luka and his conditioning and weight issues, whatever they want to throw out there in the media to kind of clean it up, it's all just whatever, because we have one of the most, longevity wise, LeBron has been around for way longer than you'd ever expect, way longer than he's probably had to. You know what I mean? He should be retired, off into the sunset, being a family man that he is, but he's kept his body intact. He's kept his mental intact. Never any scandals besides the Diddy stuff that, a lot of speculation. We'll see when that trial actually happens. But aside from all that, I think we got the guy that can just change the tides. The Lakers, being a Laker fan is insane, okay? We went from having, obviously, if we want to go way back, I was going to say Magic, but we went from, like, obviously Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain, right? Then we end up getting Magic and Kareem, right? Then we end up with Shaq and my favorite and most people's favorite Laker of all time, the GOAT, Kobe Bryant. Then we get LeBron, and he gets AD over here. And now we have Luka Doncic to look forward to carrying this team. It's like we always find a way to get the next superstar. And that's why, even though people criticize this move, and there's concerns about, like, will they make another trade? And I'll get into that a little bit. This is something you cannot just say no to. You got a generational talent, a guy that is just a different level of superstar. A guy that, to me, we haven't had that type of killer instinct that Luka Doncic brings at that high level since Kobe Bean Bryant was on this damn team. LeBron James, I love him, but the killer instinct, the I'm going to take this shot and I'm going to make it no matter how many hands go in my face, and he does it, step back threes, turnaround fades. Obviously, he's not the athlete that LeBron is. Obviously, he's not the athlete that Kobe was. But I just saw a video of JJ Redick from when he was in his podcast days before he's our coach, and he literally said, Luka's motor obviously isn't the fastest, but he has the best fucking breaks in the world, which means he just stops on a dime and makes the defender play into his speed, the way he plays the game. That's what Luka Doncic is, and along with, obviously, everything else. But that's a killer instinct and the ability to make people adapt to him. Even if he's not the fastest, he will finesse his way around you. He will make a three in your face and break your heart in the playoffs like he did to Minnesota last year. So this guy was in the finals just a year ago, and now we have him on the team, on the Lakers. So all the things, all the criticisms. Now we can talk about how, going forward, the Lakers do they need to make a decision at the trade deadline. The trade deadline's Thursday. So we're gonna learn a lot about what they're investing this year. Apparently, there's reports that they are looking for an athletic. They're looking into athletic big men. I think they still need some type of like a shooting guard that's a 3-and-D guy. Like that's why I wish we could have kept Max Christie, because we had that, and now we got to go out in the market, possibly on the trade market, but also the buyout market. Like there's gonna be some things that need to be, we're a little rough around the edges. Now, for the future, like I've said repeatedly, this is the move. But if we're gonna compete this year as the fifth seed, I think you need to build, obviously, get a guard that can fill in the defensive weaknesses that Luka does have, and then also you need a big. I mean, our best center right now is arguably Jackson Hayes. I would say maybe Christian Wood when he's healthy because he's more dynamic, but that's our best big. So it's definitely a concern, but I trust Rob Pelinka more than I ever have, just because he's pretty much untouchable now. He obviously was kind of on the hot seat because he made that Westbrook trade. He fixed that. We got D'Lo, Vando that year, and we went on a run and all that. Went to the Western Conference Finals, and then he took forever to make a move again. And so then he gets D'Lo off the team. We get Dorian Finney-Smith, which is a big move for this team. And now he makes this earth-shattering trade for Luka Doncic. So Rob Pelinka has my trust. They call him the Rob Father for a reason, right? He makes offers they can't refuse, apparently. No, in this instance, I guess the Mavericks were the ones approaching, to trade Luka. But but yeah, so we'll see how the trades, play out, the deadline and what happens. I think the Lakers need to really, because this trade itself, it makes a player that like Austin Reeves, it makes him almost expendable. And it's sad to say, but the skill set that Austin Reeves brings to the table is pretty much, he's a smaller guy compared to Luka, but he pretty much is like diet Luka. That's the swag that he plays with, the finesse. Like I said, the way that Luka plays, he's gonna make you play into his speed. So talk about breaks. Austin Reeves has that too, but like I said, he's a diet, great value, poor man's Luka. And not to say that they're even comparable or in the same stratosphere, but heavy emphasis on the diet, right? He's not, Luka himself, but that is the play style he brings. They're both very, unathletic in terms of when it comes to LeBron comparison. Like they all play make. They all bring that same similar skill set, but that is a problem to me because unless you're gonna have Austin Reeves come off the bench, you kind of need to think about trading him just because he does have a very friendly contract. He, like I said, is either going to have to buy into a bench role or we're going to have to deal with a defenseless backcourt of him and Luka. Not to say, I mean, Luka has had a season where he averaged 2 steals. He can get in the passing lanes. He's lanky enough. He's got the wingspan to do that. But he's not known as a defensive threat. And you don't want, him to be like the AD situation where he can't even give his all on offense because he's over there going crazy on defense, which is not even his part of his game. But I wouldn't want him to be struggling on defense back there by himself and then still expect him to drop 35 because LeBron's having, a slow day or whatever. Because you can't even expect LeBron to go off for 40 every night. He is 40, So it's a tough task, but like I said, I trust Rob. I unfortunately, I'm obviously the reality of Reeves being expendable is a concern because we love Reeves. But now that Luka's on the team, the future's secure. If you're gonna compete this year, you kind of do got to push your chips to the center of the table. But I'm just saying Reeves would allow us to possibly acquire the type of big that's going to help us win this year and beyond. And a guy like Miles Turner could be on the table from Indiana, as well as Walker Kessler from the Jazz. So there's a lot of different directions that this team could head in terms of filling in those holes. But you got to be excited if you're a Laker fan. We have not missed out on any era, without a superstar, without a megastar. There's been fans online that, of different teams that have podcasts that said we just walked ass backwards into like a franchise saving move. Well, damn it, I don't care. Like, they're going to say stuff like that because it's the Lakers. There's always a way, Even when they veto a trade with Chris Paul, we figure it out and we rebuild, And it's fun to be a Laker fan. It's beautiful. Um, but like I said, I mean, in terms of the grand scheme of this trade, I think it is and a lot of people are calling it the biggest, most shocking trade in North American sports history, because we did not just go out and get, a second tier NBA second team. Like, this guy is always in MVP talks. This guy has averaged close to 30 points, in his career. It's an insane deal, and I think people cannot undermine the gravity of this trade. And I don't know, it's still shocking to even think about. There's times where I take a step back and I'm watching the Lakers play, or even if I'm not watching a game, and I just think to myself, we really got LeBron James on this damn team. And it's just always surreal. And then I see him, we get AD, like I said, but I don't know how long it's going to take for me to stop saying, holy shit, we have Luka Doncic on my Lakers. Like, it is insane. I can't wait to see how this team looks when he gets out on the court. I heard rumblings that he was aiming to come back on February 8th for the Mavericks, but I'm not sure when he'll be back for the Lakers. I hope he's back before the All-Star break. We could use all the help we can get in the starting lineup right now with AD out. I will be covering if another deal happens, but for now, I think we pretty much put a bow on it right now. This trade has been amazing. Like I said, there's never a dull moment being a Laker fan. They always find a way. And Lakers Nation, we got our guy for the next 10 to 15 years. So be excited. Another shout out to my co host Joe, who I can't wait to talk about this with. For now, all we've been able to do is text about it because he doesn't really have any signal. He's just able to somehow get like text messages through. But yeah, shout out to Joe. Shout out to Lakers Nation, Lakers fans all over the world. And I can't wait to cover the future of this team with Luka at the helm. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Later, y'all.